In 2024, before America elects a new president, the American people are going to have to ask themselves a question first. And until they get an answer, they're not going to be able to make a good decision. There's a question out there that is staring everyone in the face that no one wants to confront. And in today's video, we're going to cover this. Now, real quick, of course, as always, I want to say thank you to everyone who continues to join us here at the Florida Maquis YouTube channel. Down in the comments, participates. This particular video, I predict, is going to spur a lot of debate because it really does make you think. Over at the Patreon channel, though, we take things to the next level. And those of you who have joined us over there, you are making such a huge difference in my life. Thank you so much. I very much appreciate it. It's only $1 US per month, even less if you sign up for an entire year. Fully refundable, no risk to you first 90 days. Even less, like I said, if you sign up for an entire year, it comes out to 3 pennies a day. Lowest allowable level. We can partner with Vimeo. And if you have questions, ask people down in the comments section. Post the question. Is it truly gloves off? Some people will say, well, yes, it's so gloves off that I actually canceled my membership because, you know, Florida Maquis shows things that you can't get away with here on YouTube. But back to the main question of the day. It truly is a study in psychological operations. Here's the question. What is more important? The individual right of Donald Trump or Joe Biden to be president, or the collective right of the American people to have the best person serve as president? Now, that's a tough thing because a lot of conservatives have always said we need to err on the rights of the individual over the rights of the collective. Now, here's the real questions about this. What's more important, mental capacity or moral history? Meaning, would you rather have somebody who was morally okay, but perhaps mental faculty is not quite so much there? Or would you rather have somebody who was super sharp mentally and in command of their faculties and could answer questions really quick, but was morally bankrupt? And you can take this argument outside of just these two candidates, Biden and Trump. You can ask this question of anyone. What's more important? And once again, I ask the question again, Vox Populi, Vox Dei. Even if somebody is ruled, say by a judge, mentally incapacitated, shouldn't voting override that? Where in the Constitution does it give a judge the ability to tell the American people who they can and who they can't vote for president? That collective right that we all have. You see, there's a story out. Mental competency test idea ridiculous. Jill Biden, U.S. First Lady, was responding to calls for the examination from Republicans. Now, anyone who's had an older relative getting to the certain stage where you're starting to wonder about them a little bit knows they have good days and they have really bad days. And Joe Biden has demonstrated quite a few bad days on camera. But her being around him every day, I'm sure there are days when there are good days. And so you have to wonder, what's more important, the right of Joe Biden as an individual American citizen to run for president if he meets all of the other qualifications? Or is it a collective right of the Democrat Party or those who support that agenda to have what they believe to be the best candidate? You see, that's a tough thing looking at just the people on the left. Let me see if I can zoom this in a little bit. For those of you on the right, the Second Amendment is under attack. The Constitution must be upheld. Donald Trump, 10/9/16, and everybody heard him say it on 2/28/18. Take the guns first, go through due process second. It's hard to believe that was 5 years ago, but this is the case. I think I have the right. 18's 23. Yeah, 5 years ago. Take the guns first, go through due process second. So this would make you call into question this man's moral ability to stick with what he says. Some people, this even bothers. Now, this is a very Florida thing. By the way, very Florida, very European thing. The numbers you see here are the relative ages. When this picture was taken, everybody was actually a year older than what I have labeled here, but the distances are the same, 24 years, and in this particular case, the leader's France, 25 years. And some people didn't know this. See, this would make some people cringe. Some folks would look at this and say, wow, this is really kind of cringe and immoral and all this. The age difference, Melania versus Donald, and Kimberly Guilfoyle versus his son. So, you know, you can look at a lot of things. Some people look at the whole 2020 sniffles and the solution and Operation Warp Speed. This is a quote from the previous president. I recommend that you take it, meaning the vaccine. Quote, I recommend that you take it. And you can look this up, but I also believe in your freedoms 100%, Trump said, before adding, quote, because they don't trust the president, people aren't doing it. This is an exact quote from the president before Joe Biden. And then, of course, there's always this floating out there. Now imagine, I mean, take Donald Trump out of this picture. What if this was Joe Biden? What if this was Bill Clinton? What if this was, you know, any member of the Democrat Party sitting, posing with an adult entertainer? You know, those who are saying, you know, it's a question of morality versus competency. It's really you know, when you look at the Constitution and you see what it says, a lot of people say it defers to the individual right over the collective right. Just like, for example, with the Operation Warp Speed 2020 sniffle solution that, you know, nobody wanted to take, the individual right of the person to make a medical choice for themselves overrides the collective right of the group, the people, you know, to have another decision made against their will. Here's another story. Bruce Willis's wife begs paparazzi not to yell at him in the street. How many years have the paparazzi been yelling, hey, we have the constitutional right to go harass people because of the First Amendment and, you know, our ability to take pictures and cover whoever we want, and the man's in a state of dementia and is very sensitive, and, you know, they try to get him out and do what they can. But she was very upset and tried to ask the paparazzi nicely to leave the guy alone. But they've been using the Constitution to endow themselves with some collective right to harass people. And that's overridden people's individual right to not be harassed. So which would it be? And this is a very tough question. I'm having a hard time with it myself, you know, to come to a rational answer. If you say the individual right overrides the collective right, then you would have to say that no judge could tell Joe Biden he can't run for president based on a mental competency test, because there's nothing in the Constitution about it. I mean, there is the 25th Amendment, but that's the 25th. That's for a sitting president. To disqualify someone ahead of time and take away their individual right to lead or to do whatever they want to do or to pursue whatever they want to do is a very tall order for a society that prides itself on liberty. And even for those of you on the left, you have the same argument. You can't disqualify somebody morally, because the individual right overrides the collective one, which is directly antithetical, though, and this is what makes the question so hard. Vox populi, vox dei. This is something that recently, the guy standing next to Trump up in the upper right, Elon Musk, his name ran out of my head for just a second, put on his Twitter page doing these polls. Voting is the exercise of collective right, not individual. I mean, every individual has one vote, but no one vote is worth any more than any other one vote. And it's an expression of collective right. Who do we want to lead? I mean, however you look at it, however you dice it, individual rights override voting, but that could lead to something that is actually far worse than what the Founding Fathers, I believe, intended for the Constitution. Because any individual could claim, look, I have a right, I have a personal right to run for president, I have a personal right to lead, I have a personal right to, to be in this office, and to attempt to be in this office, and no one judge or no group of people making an accusation about my mental capacity can make a difference. Like I said, the 25th Amendment, once he's in office, then we have an amendment to the Constitution that says they have to have a whole bunch of people all sign off on it. And as we know, with two-party system, that's not likely ever going to happen. So literally, you could have a party like the Democrat Party or the Republican Party, either party really, could completely override the will of the people of the United States. Because they're already telling you you can only vote for R or vote for D, right? So they're already taking your rights away. Because they, to write it on the ballot, to have names on the ballot. They're the ones making the rules. So the moral question versus the mental capacity question, I think is what the American people are going to be faced with. Now, you might, make the allegation that you think, Donald Trump's a moral guy. He might be great for the economy. He might, you can say, well, he did this and our enemies were more afraid of us and the economy was great. You can't really make the argument the man has made moral decisions looking back through his history. Some might not think that matters. But, the record is what the record is. And you might have your own definition of what moral is. Moral versus immoral, but, and you might make all sorts of allegations about, Hunter Biden and all this and that level of immorality too. But if it's relative capacity versus relative morality, then rights go out the door, doesn't it? Just tosses them out the door. It's definitely food for thought, and I think it would probably stoke some very good conversations about what's more important, mental capacity or moral integrity. And take those two things and set them aside. What's more important, their individual rights to run or the right of the people to have the best choices available? I think that's the real question that's going to bother a lot of people in 2024. So I will leave it there. But once again, would love to have you. Would love to have you. We can take this conversation to a whole nother level over at Patreon. And truly, they have loosened up over there. And you can get away with a lot of things, especially when you use Vimeo servers. And that's why I keep this over here. There are a lot of folks that went over there and they still put their videos on YouTube servers just in unlisted status. And then through the paywall, what they did was give you the link to the YouTube servers. And that's why a lot of their stuff got taken down. Those of you who know people who have been taken off Patreon, that's what they were doing. So, but when you use Patreon and you put your stuff on Vimeo servers, then you have a whole lot more freedom. So I will leave it there. I hope everyone has a great week. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.